to license it.
But even that, I've been thinking about that recently. I'm thinking, if we are telling our sons, if someone says something to you, someone does something you don't like, as long as they haven't put their hand on you, leave it, kind of thing. But our kids will never put their hand on us. So we're actually beating them because they're doing something that we don't like.
Yeah.
So in turn, we're actually teaching them that exact same. Not to say that I'm not going to beat my children, because I'm not going to sit here and be a liar. I will beat my kids in it. But when you look at the psychology of it, we're actually teaching them. If someone irritates you enough, hit them. If they don't listen to you enough, hit them. That's what we're teaching. Maybe not our daughters, because all right, cool. But with boys, you're teaching them. If you don't listen to me, I'm gonna hit you. So in turn, they're gonna channel that energy on this little boy. Never listened to me. He irritated me. So I hit him, and that's what it is.
I don't know, because I got beats, and I never necessarily looked at beats. Like, I got more beats of, you done something wrong, you were bad, you got beats. It was punishment, innit? That's what I'm saying.
It's the same thing. Like, in their mind, they're thinking, you've done something bad, so I'm gonna act out. I'm gonna hit you.
Look, my more acting on hitting, because I was just told if anyone hits me, hit them back, or if anyone suspects you, you hit them back, innit?
But even that is something we have to acknowledge as toxic, especially this day and age. You can't just go around hitting people. Man will stab you. It's not like that no more.
In this day and age, but I think maybe the difference was when we got punished by our parents. There was an explanation for why our parents punished us, innit? I think for us is when we were battering man in school, we were battering man for the littlest things, whereas our parents would beat us for the extreme things. What they class as extreme. I'm not saying it's acceptable.
To us it wasn't extreme. So to our children, that boy taking something from them, or that boy calling them the stupidest of names, is as extreme as our parents felt our behavior was.
Remember, it's as you can feel, it's the way we was raised, because we was always told, don't ever let someone take something off you. Like, if you look, remember last week I said about that film, All Day, All Night? Have you not got a chance to watch it?
No. I saw it.
Alright, so there was one of the scenes where he got his toy taken and the dad whipped him with the belt.
And sent him back to almost go fight.
And he
but that's toxic. This is what I'm trying to say to you. It's toxic. But that's why I'm saying it's just as detrimental as a child to be purely raised by their dad as it is for them to be purely raised by their mum. I'm saying they're equally as toxic. And even if both parents are there, both parents need to have a level of understanding about raising, a level of understanding and be strong within themselves. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because if we go back to that same movie, just not to spoil anything, but the mum didn't have enough power within herself to stand up to the dad to tell him no to what he was doing. So it's the same as in the relationship. If one person is too dominant, the child will still be thrown off, whether it's two parents, one parent.
Like when their child plays tricks, like a child will go and ask the mum something, no, but might go and ask dad, and dad says yes. The parents have to have a level of balance. If mum says no, dad says no.
But that comes down to communication. Once again, that comes down to having both parents.
But even if you don't have both parents, there has to still be that level of understanding. Like, even if you're co-parenting, that we're still on the same page.
But that's when it comes to communication. But once again, it's still a communication and a respect to say, I cannot do this by myself. You cannot do this by yourself. So we have to come to a place. Because there is going to be times like you'll hear mum say, you know what? I've had enough of you. Wait till your dad comes home, or I'm going to tell your dad, because the dad governs a bit more fear when it comes to the child.
Or the dad knows how to reason and how to get through to that child in a way that
maybe so.
But listen, I just feel my dad's presence alone growing up. His aura just
that's the thing.
But that could just be fair.
I got suspended from school. My mum didn't say a word. All she said is, "Your dad's coming home." I knew what time it was.
That's because they had their roles, though, Preps. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
they had their individual roles.
And that's what I'm saying, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, yo, there was one day I had his belt ready waiting for him. I picked it out for him. There, boom. I'm just waiting. Because,
but that's the thing. I feared my mum more than anyone. I feared my mum more than my dad, more than the man them, more than police. The reason I didn't get into certain trouble growing up is because my mum was all conquering God in my world.
But in saying that my mum was the more cuckoo's parent, because I remember at parents' evening where even though I was in the wrong and the teacher said something about maybe me getting it was my brother getting some more mental health. My mum went ballistic to the point we banned my mum from doing parents' evening. She wasn't allowed to come. It was my dad that had to go parents' evening, because I remember my mum in parents' evening threatened to knock my teeth out in front of the whole teachers. And the teacher's like, that's not the way forward. And my mum said, in Africa, that's how we punish our kids. And I looked at the teacher and I went, you see what you lot did. So it's just down to the household. But going back to the original question, can a woman raise a man and can a man raise a woman? A woman? Yes or no?
Yes, but not as effectively as it could be.
Yeah. There would be certain flaws that if they were to do it, there would be certain flaws, and then just depending on where that child gets to in life, what they start to then understand and take.
But it definitely can be done, and it can be done very well, depending on how the person is set up themselves.
Yeah,
depends on who they've got around them. Like I said,
100.
All good, you're doing it by yourself, but I still think you still need to have some.
It takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child, regardless.
I say that. It does.
So whether it be your brethren, I feel like even if one parent isn't there, I believe that you don't have direct family. I believe your social circle plays a very big part in how your child is raised as well. Because there's a lot of people, and I can only speak from a male's point of view, where I can see with women, their antics that they get up to within regards to their baby fathers, their friends are clearly not holding them accountable.
Yeah.
To be fair, even with the man them, I see a lot of men handling their kids in a certain way, and you can tell their bridges are not holding them accountable.
Yeah.
Because if it's any of my friends, I'm asking you. I'm asking you something. Like if I see you lot and I see you consistently, I'll be like, so how's your son? I'll ask. And if you be like, oh, I haven't seen him. Huh? Why? Now we need to have a discussion.
Yeah.
Or do you understand what I'm trying to say? It's it takes a village. Your social, even if they're not directly involved with your child's life, they have to influence you.
I definitely hear you on that one, where and both parties that, sometimes we have to be accountable. We have to be accountable for our friends as well, like 100%. So like, if I see something and like, I don't know. Do you want me to touch? Can I touch on your story that we had?
Who are you talking to?
You. Can I just touch on your one? All right, for instance.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All right, hold on. When you came home, what was one of the first things I said to you?
I don't remember that.
Nigga.
I don't remember.
When you came home, one of the first things I raised a concern to you was your son that you got custody of. And I just said to you, yo, I think you need to take a look into that one there a little more.
Yeah, but this is the thing. All right, I get where you're coming from, but what I'm trying to say to you is that is in regards to me not being around and you noticing something in my absence. What I'm talking about is
hold on.
In your presence.
No, but I'm saying even as a friend, because you get some bitches that would see that and play, that's not my business. But as a friend, not as a friend, as my brother, I just said to you, I looked at that and I said, because I know the type of person that you are and the type of father you are, I said to you, boom, yo, that day. Do you get me?
Yeah, but
you probably and we had friends probably in the same similar circle that probably saw that and never paid that mind of a detention.
All right, because you know it's I look at it like you have friends for different reasons, isn't it? 100%. And I feel like a lot of us are so caught up in our own little worlds that we're not willing to step out of that bubble for a minute. And when I say hold each other accountable, I mean in all actions. We're too willing to push things to the side and say, well, it's not my business. You understand? And we never grew up like that because we grew up in an era where you didn't do certain things because you were not even about your mum. You were scared that your brethren's mum saw you or such and such up the road saw you, and that would get back home before you reached home. You understand? We grew up in a different realm, so kids were policed.
They thought about things before they did things. We would think, why, I don't know, if I do that,
because you would get in trouble by your bedroom's mum before you even got in trouble by your mum.
You know what I mean?
But this is where it is, because we had respect. There was a level of fear/respect because of how we were raised. Whereas now, that's not in place because people don't believe it takes a village. When you start getting these posts of, oh, on Father's Day, I'm daddy too, and all that, you're taking away from the fact that this other entity is needed. You're taking away from the fact that grandparents are needed, brethren are needed. When you feel as if you are
alone,
everything, you're taking away that the ability to have a rounded child and raise that child to the best possible quality. You understand? But then on the flip side, some people got too much influence. Yeah. They got way too many people in and out of their life or up and down. So now they're just doing way too much. Way too much.
So there's you can have no one, and then you can have too much of someone. So
it's
you
about
have to find
balance.
You have to find a balance.
It's always about balance, regardless of what we're doing, how we want to sort things out. It's always about the balance. You can never fully have a rounded individual if you don't have all the ingredients in it. It's like if you're cooking food. If something's missing, it's not going to taste right. It's edible. It's okay.
So you can hear me. You ain't got sugar. You might say, "Oh, let me put in a piece of I don't know, some honey instead," or you find substitute, but it's never going to taste.
Yeah. It's not right, and that's all it is. Raising a child is like cooking food or baking a cake. There's certain things you can't substitute everything.
Yeah.
You have to have these things for it to turn out the way it's meant to. If it doesn't, it will be all right. It will be edible, but
food might be missing.
Yeah, it's not.
Even if it gets to a point where it tastes great, you may have had to go around so many different things, add this, to even get to that point where if you just had that initial ingredient first, it would just been smooth sailing.
Yeah.
You hear me?
But that's what it is. So when we look at it like that, and the initial question of can we? Yes, same as Premsa said, yes and no. Yes, but it will never be right. And that goes for even when you got two parents. Because if they're not good within themselves, it's still something's still missing.
Yeah.
So it's responsibility for everyone to take on. It's a responsibility to understand that you cannot do anything by yourself. No man is an island.
So quick one, this is not even a curveball, but it still relates. But obviously, I don't know what the percentages are, but a lot of men, black men as well, grew up single mothers, innit? Just their mother was around. Dad weren't really around. If he was around, he was in and out, weren't really type of thing, innit? Do you think that has made us or better fathers as a whole, or it's making us worse as fathers?
Both. Both, better and worse. And I say that because if you didn't have your dad around or your dad was in and out, your benchmark is so low that anything you do for your child, you feel that you have exceeded that benchmark, so you're doing great.
Yeah.
So it almost puts you in this false sense of security that you're doing fantastic when you're not.
Really not.
So and as we said before, there are certain men that, because they didn't have a dad, they don't see the importance of being in their child's life. And then on the flip side, you see there's a lot of men that's like, well, I didn't have a dad, so I'm going to go above and beyond for my child to not feel that pain that I felt.
Yeah.
But once again, even in that, there's an error, because if your dad didn't do nothing, you might think just turning up and looking at your child for a few hours, you're doing the world of good. And you're not. You understand? Like, even me, myself, and I used to do stuff like that. I used to think like, right, I don't need to take my kids to the park or necessarily play with them. Like, I'm here, innit? I've got you, you're around me. You will be around me for 2, 3, 4 days, for example. I've bought you what you needed.
Yeah.
I'm good in it. And then when you start to see that you kind of don't know your child, you know what I mean? You start to realize that, wait, there's more to this than what I initially, when you, once again, accountability. Once you start to acknowledge the problem, you start to realize, right, like,
and then
go on.
So on the flip side of that, because the same way we as men, a lot of us grew up as, you know, with just our mothers, a lot of women as well grew up with just their mothers. Their dads weren't around. So how do you think that then affects them raising their sons?
Listen, I'm stepping out of this one. I'm stepping out of this one, mate.
You know what I mean?
You know what? Nah, fuck it. No, go on, Prem.
No. I think for that one there, what we do is we find a female that's gone through that, and we.
But what's your opinion? What's your opinion? How do you?
You know what it is. I've got an opinion from two different sides, because I know females that didn't have a father figure and they're doing well, and then I've got females that didn't have a father figure, and sometimes I want to slap them in their face because of the shit that they come out with.
This is with their sons. This is raising.
Yeah, with their sons. Like, you know, it goes back to what Jamal said. It takes a village to raise a home. Some of them have that village. They have that foundation, and they're able to raise the sons. I'm not going to say the right way, because we don't know what the right way is. And then you've got those that don't have nothing at all. Their mum is they're a mirror and image of the person that raised them. So them raising a man, they have no clue. They're raising a man out of anger because the dad is not around, or the dad's gone off and done this, or you know what I mean? So I think we will only ever know from a female. That's something that us as a male, I can never answer.
My opinion on that is,
I don't even want an opinion, so let me lead this time, innit?
No. My opinion on that is, a woman that doesn't have a father figure, there could be one of two things in it, because that might have a large bearing on the man she chose to have a child with in the first place.
Yes,
you understand. So that's one effect it has. And secondly, if that dad is not around, she didn't have a dad, she's either going to do, like, you know, it's kind of toxic, because then the son becomes her man in a weird sort of way. Like, she becomes very reliant on him for everything, to the point where when he wants to go off and live his life, she does her best, which is not, it's not intentional, but she does what she needs to almost block that, because he's the only stable male that's probably been around, for example.
So she becomes territorial, and then kind of has
a conflict very possessive. Interest. Yeah, it's very possessive. But then that restricts him, and then he becomes resentful, and then it goes on from there. So he either rebels because he's been so restricted, or he becomes
torn in the middle.
Or he becomes very grudgeful towards his mum, because he looks and thinks, but I never got to live. I never got to do me. Do you understand? So I think that will have a really negative effect if you're talking purely about mothers with sons. Then I think it can have that effect where it makes them very reliant on their son. They start to not live vicariously through their son, but they start to build their child up to be either the father that they wanted, or the man that should have been there. They start to build their child up, and a lot of pressure on this child to fulfill what is not their role to fulfill.
I think my opinion on it is like, similar to what you're both saying, really. I think it could have, you know, a positive effect in a way where, you know what, I know I ain't got a clue about this, so I'm going to bring in people in my life that I know maybe are clued up about it. Or you'd get women who are just oblivious to it, and just get stuck in the cycle. And like you said, they start raising sons that they basically start raising sons that they'll tell their daughters to avoid, type of thing, innit? Like they're subconsciously raising boys that they would raise their daughters to avoid, almost. So it's a crazy cycle. Do you know what I mean? It's a mad cycle. So I just think it depends on you. It depends on your mental capacity. It depends on the people you have around you. It depends on what you went through with your father, whether he was there or not. How your mother was with you when you didn't have that father. There's so many things it can depend on. But yeah, it could definitely end up pretty badly if a mother or a woman who grew up without her father then has to raise a son. It's gonna
by herself, yeah.
By herself, it's gonna be hard for her to do because she's got nothing to benchmark against. It's difficult.
There's no point of reference.
Yeah.
But that's why we got.
But then, what about dads that raise daughters? I feel like we kind of outshot. We kind of like,
Do you know what it is? But a dad,
because it's not a rare. It's not a rarity. We don't. Because maybe don't.
Are we saying a dad? Are we saying a dad that raised a daughter who didn't have a mum? Is that what we're gonna switch it to?
You can do that because that is
to me. I can't even fathom that because I can't even imagine that.
I'll be real. I'll be lost.
Because if you didn't have a mum, and you were raised purely by your dad, and then because I don't know, unless your dad stayed single for the whole of your life, so he was raised purely by your dad.
Your dad, yeah.
And then you went on to have a daughter that now you are raising all by yourself. I can't even imagine how that would have worked.
I would have to draft in help. I would have to hopefully I've got an auntie or a grandma or somebody.
Listen, man would have to get certain man would go out there and they would have to even get a temporary girlfriend. They would have female friends. They would have, because think about it, as a dad, if you're a dad that had, because then it would be your dad that had a daughter, innit? Wait, I'm so confused. This is what I'm saying. Dad without a mum that then had a daughter.
Your dad grew you. So your mum went in the picture, your dad grew you, but now you have a daughter.
But that's why, because there's a level of affection you don't even understand. You don't know what's going on. So the fact that, so you've gone in, so you've got mummy issues because your mum weren't there. You might feel abandoned or whatever the case may be. And then you've got this little girl and her mum's not around. Like, you'll think your life is doomed. You might go into some weird depression.
And you might consciously start instilling something in her mind that, like, my mum abandoned me, your mum abandoned me. Like,
so you're not letting her out your sight because she's a fully consistent woman. That's what I'm saying.
When you look at a man like a 50 Cent and the way he goes on with his son, do you feel that's a man that has that's suffering from mummy issues?
No.
How is he really with his son though? He just cut him off, didn't he? Really?
I think we don't know the ins and outs of that, innit?
It's a bit hard.
Well, there was an interview he done the other day where he kind of like basically said the son became the mother, so it became an entitlement thing. But when we look at the way he deals with his son, do you feel if he had a more of a mother figure in his life, he did have his grandma and his auntie, so he says, but do you think if he more have that nurturing mother in his life, he would be a bit more less lenient to how he's just cut off his son?
No, I think if he had his mum in his life, his mum would have G-checked him.
But then we don't really know how he was treating his son before he became...
And we don't know the dynamics of why it broke down or nothing. But I do believe that good mums, when their sons are not doing what they're meant to be doing, they step in and G-check their sons and say, listen, that's not cool. I say it's good mums. Some mums sugarcoat their sons and jump on their son's side, whether they're right or wrong.
Listen, it happens a lot. Look, think about it. How much times have you spoken to a girl or know of a girl who says a man was cheating on her and his mum and everybody, they all knew about it?
Yeah, come on.
No G-check. They
But that's what I'm trying to say. Good mums, because remember, that's as toxic. Shielding your child when they're doing wrong is just as toxic as anything else. You understand? Like, my mum's the first to tell me when I'm in the wrong. The first. She takes pleasure in it.
You know what? You know what my mum does? My mum badges us up behind closed doors. So she will shield us in front of everyone. But as soon as everyone leaves, we get it.
But that's how it should be, really.
Yeah. And so, yeah, because that's how my mum was. My mum would never, about who was there, would never murder us in front of them. As soon as the coast is clear and it's us, it's us alone, my mum. Yeah, you're getting told X, Y, and Z by yourself. So yeah, there's a give or take to that type of nurturing, I guess.
Yeah. I think, but that mother one is very, very, very common. Very, very common. Like you'd get mum saying, don't bring none of them hussies around here and all. You get me? Like you get all that kind of thing gets fed into a guy's head from young. So that just then kind of affects the way you might start treating women then in the future. You know, your mum saying, don't bring none of these fast-ass girls around here and all this. You get me? That I don't know. It's just...
All right, I've got a question then. I've got a question. What about then women who are raised purely by their mum? Their dad wasn't in the picture. So now these women do this. So they would be, say now, our generation of women now.
Yeah.
What do you think about them? Because some of them don't even go on to have kids because of the level of the fact that the dad wasn't there. So there wasn't that balance. So they grew up to be like hyper independent. So even if they do have children, now they are raising they've raised their daughters, which is the next generation, to be almost.
That's the fault of the parent, because you've basically taught your daughter that you don't need a man to survive, and okay, that's a give or take theory, I guess, but you've now conditioned your child to say, even if you do have a child, you don't need the man to make it, because me as your mother, I made it without your father. So
but do you think that's fair?
No.
I think you know what it is, because let's be real as well. Like for many years, women have been doing it by themselves. We've been doing it by themselves. So women have been doing it by themselves so long to the point it's become normal to some women. It's just normal.
Yeah.
So naturally, they're gonna pass that on to their daughters that you can do it. You don't need no man. It almost become normal to them, and I understand it because us as men, as fathers, we weren't there as much as we should have been. So women have kind of taken up certain things and taken on certain roles to the point where
100%.
that it's their role now. It's what we do. It's normal. We can do it, but it's not the way it should be. It's not something we should be encouraging or telling women that, yeah, you know what?
Yeah, but it goes on. But then that mother's conditioned her child to believe that a certain lifestyle way of living is acceptable, because
but
then
that it is acceptable. It's her normality, though.
Obviously, to that parent's reality and that parent's life, it has become acceptable. They've made it on their own for whatever sort of reason they've had to do what they've had to do. But then, you was put into that situation by a circumstance. You know what I'm saying? What you're now doing is conditioning your child to actually believe that the position you was put in by a circumstance is actually an acceptable position. So if you do fall into that position, not saying you can't, yes, you can make it on your own, but don't make it a thing in the back. Have it in the back of my mind is, if I was to be in that situation, I'm gonna make it. No, you can make it. Sorry, I'm muddling up my words. Yes, you can make it alone, but don't have that conditioned mindset in the back of your head
that you should.
Because once you have that in your brain, remember, wherever you think, if you start thinking about it, it then becomes, you're thinking.
But do you not think that's like PTSD then?
Yeah.
It is.
It's a form of PTSD because the mum has been through something, and then in turn the daughter, through having her daughter, she's been through it again. So she didn't have a dad, then she's had a child. That dad's now not there. So it's a level of trauma that's kind of went through the family. So now they're like, we have to hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
It's a cycle.
Yeah.
But it's a level of, it's not just but that's what I'm going to say, it's not just a plain cycle. It's actually a level of trauma. They're preparing the next generation based upon the trauma that the past 2 generations have experienced. Even so, in one aspect, you can't blame them, because it's like, listen, it's clearly what happens, isn't it?
It's all what they know. It's all what they know.
Yeah, they think
yeah, so you know what? If you're going to go forward, just know that you're going forward by yourself. So this is how you need to pattern yourself. And to be very fair, in the society, especially looking at society now, you can't blame them, because there's so many women out here, as you said, Jay, that are by themselves. And when I say by themselves, I don't mean like the dad is non-existent, but he might as well be in a lot of cases.
Don't do shit.
Exactly. So they have to pattern themselves. That's why you have either like these hyper independent women.
Mm-hmm. What do we class a single mother then? What is a single mother?
A single mother, it depends on how you look at it, yeah?
I know.
Because
Jay is ready. That's our heart.
Mother is a mother who is single. Yeah? She's single. That is all a single mother is. There's a difference between a single mother and a mother who raises her child alone. A single mother is a mother who just happens to be single.
But do you not think that that term has been slightly misconstrued?
It has been.
So then it becomes offensive. Yeah. It becomes offensive to dads that are actually doing their job. Because as a dad, if the mother of your child says, "I'm a single mum," part of you feels offended. Like, wait, am I not? What are you trying to say? I'm not doing my job properly.
Yeah. You know, what do we call a mother that? What do we call a mother that is not with the parent, with the father, but the father is an active father? What do we call that? What do we call that?
What Jay's saying is that is a single mother.
Be technically a single mother. She's single. I'm single. Same. I'm a single father. I'm single. I have a son. She's single. She has a son. We co-parent.
But we don't use that term single father. We just say we're a father.
That's what I'm saying. It's been twisted. Obviously, as time goes by, it was initially meant to be like that, a mother who's single. But what happened is, more time the mother that was single, the father was just not there on top of it as well. Mm-hmm. So it just stuck like, I'm a single mother. And it just stuck as a single mother means that the father is just not around. He's non-existent type of thing. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of women that claim, I'm a single mother, but the dad's there. He's there doing his stuff. He's there. He sees the child.
They're getting a lot more help than they're letting on.
Exactly. He's in the child's life. So you're a single mother, but don't make it out like you're a single mother that.
But this is the thing, because things have changed. It's Chinese whispers. Things have changed over time so much that now things are just said and done because that's what they are. No one looks into them. No one understands the purpose behind them or the meanings behind them. It's just, it is where it is now. Like, to have a child, like I've heard even on social media, all of these podcasts, it's normal for a woman to be like, yeah, I'm going to have a child, but I don't want a man. I just want a you. Mm-hmm. It's normal now for a woman to just say she wants a child.
Yeah.
Without anything else attached to it.
Yeah.
So, do you think like our generation, we can change the narrative, or do we have to feed it into our kids and allow them to change it because it's too late for us?
You got to feed it into our kids.
Yeah, I think we're too far. We're all grown.
The more
you are, the more set in your ways you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Too far gone. Like, we just gotta.
We gotta hope the best for
our kids. That is it, man. We gotta be right by our kids, lead by example with the children, and then hopefully they will change the
But we already haven't led by example. That's what I'm trying to say to you. Because the fact that we're not with the mothers of our children we haven't set the great. Not to say some things just don't work out in it, but let's be honest. We haven't set the initial greatest example, and especially if you're a good father as well. Your son might grow up and be like, well, I don't have to stay with her car. I was always with my dad and I was always with my mum. And that worked out fine. So I don't have to.
But then it's down to us as the parents on how we paint that perception, innit? Do you understand what I'm saying? So for me, it will always be, it never worked out with your mum, but that does not mean that I'm saying to you is go and have a child and then, run off or whatever.
But you've got examples that are different though, Pete, because you still got your parents that are together and that your daughter is seeing. So even if you are not the model, you can still say, look at them.
But you can still become the model. It may not be with
it might not be with mum, but it could be with someone else.
Somebody else.
But it's just one of those. It's just one of those ones. I have to, make her understand that, there could be plenty of reasons she might ask me why it never worked, and I could probably say things I never fought hard enough, or maybe I was young, I was immature, whatever. But the underline to her is that, don't make what you saw growing up feel that that's a lifestyle reality you also need to go and live. I would want you to have a family, be with the person you have kids with, and that's what I still want you to have. That's what I'm still gonna preach to you about. That's still what I'm gonna teach you about. I'm gonna sit there and make you watch stuff like My Wife and Kids and the Cosby Show and them.
That's a whole different colorism topic if we start going into My Wife and Kids and stuff. That's what it all gets techie, man.
But you remember that's the programs we watched that we always used to think, the Idol family, then Moesha, and you get thrown up and watch the Parkers and you see,
single
mom just single mom, you know what I mean?
We're telling them that, you know what, you want them to have that family as well. But I think we need to be real with them and let them know as well.
Yeah.
That, look, like, it's good for you to have a family, but shit happens, innit? People make mistakes, things don't work out sometimes. So even if you did get with, say, this guy or this woman and it broke down, it didn't work, shit happens. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. It doesn't mean that
you just got to make the best of that bad situation.
Yeah, exactly. You just got to make the best of the situation. That's what it comes down to.
No, 100%. So, but like, it's one of them topics where we could go on and go on and go on for hours and hours and hours and create 1,000,001 different scenarios. But it's a trial and error thing. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to understand. As three dads sitting here speaking, I encourage all men that listen, if you've got children, even if you're not with the mother, be in your child's life. It's better to be a good dad separately than a bad dad together. Do you understand?
100.
And even for mums as well, don't feel like you failed your children because that relationship didn't work out. Because at the end of the day, if it wasn't for that relationship, they wouldn't be that child in the first place.
Yep.
So as men, because that is the general consensus that men run away from their responsibilities, we need to start holding each other as friends, cousins, brothers, sisters, whatever, accountable for those actions.
100%.
And if we start to make people accountable and feel bad for not doing what they're meant to be doing, they will either fix up or disappear. Do you understand what I'm saying? But it's not cool to have your brethren around you and your brethren's like, blood, I don't see my youth, man. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, and carry on. It doesn't make sense.
It needs to get to that point where, like, I don't know, like, you see, like how man get outraged for a man being a snitch, like not being in your child's life. It needs to be on those type of levels.
Yeah,
100.
But this is the same.
You get man that go, yeah, but my baby mother's a dickhead.
Yeah, like,
bro.
nah, bro, make
the child.
But on the flip side, there's not a lot of advice out there for man as well. So when they feel like they're in a position where they don't know what to do, there's not a lot of support systems. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because what I'm trying, like, a lot of men disappear from their children's life, and I'm not making excuses for anyone in it because it's still wrong. But some men are genuinely afraid. Like, you get told you're having you panic. You understand? So there's not a lot of support systems and support networks for men to feel like they're not alone in certain situations. We're friends, innit? So if you felt some type of way, or you could pick up the phone and be like, yo, fam, this happened to me. I don't even know what to do. And we can sit down and politic about it. But some men don't have that. Or they don't know where to turn or what questions to ask to put themselves in a better position. So their easiest thing to do is disappear. Which is, it's a cowardly thing.
Erase the situation because they don't know how to face it.
It's a cowardly thing, but that's what they know how to do. Fight or flight, and a lot of men take the flight and it's gone.
And on the flip side as well, you got a couple of men that experience just the difficulties that the mothers are giving them being able to see their children. And a lot of men don't know their rights and how to go about it. And
even that, you got men that probably look at their bedroom and see what certain things that their bedroom's going through and just be like, nah, fuck that, I'm not on it, I'm opt out.
But this is where it is. A lot of men, because we don't have the relevant information. Like, and to be fair, it's not an excuse. We've got Google, innit? There's so much information in this world. So there's really no logical excuse for us to be like, but I didn't know, or but I'm not too sure, or whatever the case may be. There's no excuse for that. You understand? Like, as man, them, it's accountability. Everything. We can only speak for men. Women have to handle themselves in regards to their friendship circles or whatever. But as men, we need to hold each other accountable. So if your brethren says something that's a bit left, even if you don't check him, Even if you don't check him instantaneously, because you know sometimes it's not the right time, man won't receive the information.
But just pull him up on about it later on.
Yeah, of course.
You know what, brother?
Have to get onto man.
Yeah.
You have to. But I feel like this is something that we need to do. We need to somehow build these things within the society. We need to build support networks. You see, the same way as mums, when a child is born, they got mother and baby classes, and they got this, and they've got loads of support going forward. If you got depression, come and see us. If you're not sure how to do something, come and see us. Come.
Yeah.
There's not, they are out there, but there's not a lot of,
not pushed as much.
Yeah, they're not male focused groups like that.
The narrative for males are not pushed like that, because remember, we're conditioned to be this type of
the strong ones. Male. We don't need no help.
The alpha male.
We're meant to be there in the first place as well. You know what I mean? We're not meant to be there in the first place.
Because remember, society facilitates this. Because remember, if you're in your child's life, you're still, as a man, you're given parental responsibility, not parental rights.
Right.
You understand?
You got to fight for parental rights.
So there's certain things that you should have from the minute your child comes into this world that you're not permitted to have. And you have to fight, or the mum has to do something so extreme for you to be able to get these things.
Yeah.
That sometimes it's like, well, if I'm not seen as equal, why should I behave equal? And that's literally where it is. Some men are fighting to get their child's surname changed to theirs, like little things like that. So, it's just an accountability. Everyone's just got to be accountable, and we have to try and do better. That's it.
100, man.
All right, guys. Well, another interesting one. Still.
Yeah, episode 10.
Kind of went.
We started on one thing, you know.
But it ended up being a good conversation anyway. So
I definitely think we need to dive into this again and try and get some people that are. I think we need to get some single mothers.
We would need this with a female's perspective would be wonderful.
Yeah.
If we when lockdown.
Once it's done. Once we can move around a bit more freely.
Yeah, and rebel a little bit more openly.
Yeah. Once Boris fully opens.
When Boris opens up the barbershop, we get back to normal, innit? Yeah.
And then we can go back and we can have a proper sit down, invite some opinionated females in, and we can sit down and hash this out, you know?
Well, why don't we hold an Insta live with a female this week, if anything, if we get a chance to put out there?
It's always a possibility, yeah. Why not? Try to get some opinions in, you know? See if we're talking utter rubbish or if.
But this is the thing as well, because a lot of people come to me and they're always like, "Oh, you should have done this, or you should have said this, or you should have said that." And what I have to keep reminding people is like, look, just remember, this is a podcast. And we're not doctors, we're not professionals, we're not claiming to be these experts in any of these fields. All we're doing
is having a discussion
on
our opinion.
They may not be right. It might be totally different for you. It might be totally different for you. But it's what we think and what we feel. And that's the whole purpose of the podcast, is because you're interested in what Jay Urban thinks. You're interested in what Big Jamel thinks. You're interested in what C. Prems thinks. That's all we're giving you.
I don't know if that's really what I want to see.
People just get into it and they're like, "Oh, you didn't say this and you didn't."
But my whole thing is, if you want to have an opinion, we invite everybody that listens, everyone that follows us. If you want to have an opinion, by all means, send us a message.
It's like
and request us to go on live. We'll do it.
It's like when we done the sickle cell. I got a lot of people that were that have sickle cell. And we're very outspoken about certain things that we said, "Oh no," and we didn't. That's all right, cool. What's your opinion? Come on the platform and say what you want to say. And I'm open to certain things. There was, like I said, with the sickle cell conversation, there was a lot of things I learned from other people with sickle cell. Prior to that. So again, with this situation, we might say something you don't agree with us, or we might not know how. We might know of. Have that conversation. Sometimes teach me certain things that I don't know. We learn new things every day.
I'm open to anyone that wants to have. If someone says, "Listen, I want to be involved in one of the podcasts," I'm like, if you got a good enough opinion, let's do this, innit? We're at home, let's do it. But I definitely feel like this is something that it's one of the conversations, kind of like the colorism that we tackled last week.
Yeah.
this could go on for hours, and we could pick out 1,000,001 scenarios. But our opinions are limited by our experiences. You understand?
So and maybe growing up and what we've been exposed to as well.
Just our experiences. We haven't experienced the same things as others, so our opinions can't venture into that realm. That being said, if someone wants to say something, I'm on linking up. I'm on doing a live, and I want to hear a female's perspective on this. I do.
You know what? Hit up the
podcast.
Yeah, hit up the podcast for them. Yeah. Anyway, cool. Yeah.
You're so weird, man. Right? But yeah.
That's cool. Nah. You know
episode 10.
10. Yeah, episode 10.
Please don't cancel me, podcast. Yeah. Love for everyone that locked in. Please comment, follow, subscribe, listen. Please do. Any feedback is muchly appreciated, greatly appreciated, shall I say? Yeah. And yeah.
All right, man.
Till next week.
Until next week.
Cool.
To license it.